We have done too many mistakes. We have made too many mistakes in letting certain things go too far. There is a national security question, which is all important as much as our national independence question. National security is not something of which we can do politics. We can avoid only by winning over the Tamil people to an equal status within a unitary state, and also by giving them provincial autonomy. Single and Muslim Tamil unity is our aim. We want to treat everybody alike. We don't want discrimination. We want to win over Tamil people because we know our last guarantee for our sovereignty is unity in the country.
We welcome Mr. Vasu a vociferous proponent of the comeback bid of the former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, a leader of leftist party, a former minister. Mr. Nanayakara, we welcome you to one of, I think, our first interviews for Daily Mirror Online and our print version both.
Thank you, thank you.
Right. To start off with, Mr. Nanayakara, the many people who we speak to during this past after the election, this comeback bid after the election was announced, many people who support the former president, their main reason for supporting is this national security, this threat of national security. And within that, there is the fear of Tamil racism and there is fear of Muslim racism. That is the basis. How does this leftist leader, or a former leftist, I don't know what I'll introduce you as, how do you fit into this whole nationalist, Sinhalese, majoritarianist culture?
Thank you for that question. I'm a leftist and a social democrat even now. How we view Mahinda Rajapaksa's leadership is from a perspective which is historical on the one hand, which is futurist on the other hand. Historically, we have struggled against imperialism, and he is the present link of the struggle, Mahinda Rajapaksa. Time and again, the Western powers have tried to prevail over us on certain issues. We have not given in. Particularly, it is connected with the armed conflict. They wanted the truce even at the last moment. War was recommenced by the treaty with no notice to us. So therefore, we thought of ending it. And it is a war that we had to fight, not that we chose to fight. And therefore, imperialism found that their scheme was not coming into place. Their scheme was to have a truce and have some leverage with the entity and thus keep their influence in that part of the country. They couldn't fight it in the regions mainly governed by the central government. When that scheme failed, of course, they had to find another way. The other way was to get the regime out, and they put their best foot forward and combined all forces. And I would say they manipulated to take over some of our leaders, and suddenly they moved across and joined the ranks of the UNP, who are very contradictory in their basic positions, like partly Ranamaka and the TNA. They combine. And at the same time, we find the JVP also going into that same combination, who are very anti-imperialist and vociferous about their leftist position. Then on the other hand, you find the Muslim Congress also defected at the last moment. Ranamaka defected at the last moment. The TNA was very much entrenched in the UNP's alliance. And then you find the Bodubala Sena, which was the cause of our problems with the Muslims, which was mainly promoted and defended by partly Champika Ranamaka, now find that they in combination are opposed to our alliance. They in combination are opposed to our very, very peculiar, curious combinations which are basically contradictory have come together. This can be explained only on the basis of manipulation by imperialism, as we call it, or the Western interests which are combined with imperialism in order to get Mahinda regime out. Mahinda regime out was the principal target, principal objective. And with that, they didn't find any combination inconvenient. Nothing was too bad for them to come together in order to get mind out of the way. And this happened with a narrow margin, it happened. So from there, we have to understand and trace this question of nationalism, the question of ultranationalism, the question of the minorities. All these have to be put in this perspective. So the minorities who had nothing in common with Ranavaka are in combination, which you have to explain. When you explain that, then you find that our position eminently justifiable, because we stand opposed to the manipulation of imperialism, who wanted some space in this country for their influence, political presence, to which we did not yield.
To draw a few questions from your answer, Mr. Ranekara, but to start off, first thing is how, as much as you said this on this side it's contradictory, is it contradictory that we have you, we have Mr. Vistar, we have Mr. Gunasekara, and even Mr. Uday Gammanpilla, who was seen as a cerebral force among the JHU also, joining hands with someone who has been repeatedly seen that represents ultra Sinhala Buddhist nationalism.
During Mahinda Rajapaksa's period, there were no racial conflicts, except the one isolated Alugami incident. There were no religious conflicts. Whenever there was, it was contained. It was brought under control.
No, but it's not the conflicts I'm talking about, Mr. Ranekara. See, the Tamils have overwhelmingly rejected Mahinda Rajapaksa because of Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
They are not because of Gotabaya. They rejected Mahinda Rajapaksa from then on, because they were on the side of imperialism. They were on the side of the LTT for all purposes. Mahinda fought the war against LTT. So that put the TN away from us. But we have Devananda, Tondaman, we have Chandra Murugesu.
No, but I'm talking about the people. I'm talking about not the leaders.
People, 20% are with us, as was shown in the election results. But 20% of the Tamil people with us. We are yet to win over more from the Tamil rank and file, because it will take some time, because they had been charged with emotions which are nationalist, which were linked up with the LTT's war. And therefore, we having ended the war, fought the war, we have to take some time in order to integrate these people. But we are in the process. And the Tamil people in general have an attitude of pro-Islamist or a pro-separatist agenda. And we opposed and crushed it. And therefore there is a natural conflict between them and us. But there are the sections of the Tamils who represent about 20% who are with us. And gradually we will improve as their slogan about separatism becomes more and more bankrupt.
But you believe, Mr. Nanekar, that the Mahinda Rajapaksa government, after the end of the conflict, did enough to win over ideology?
No,
it was confidently, it was this whole war victory, this whole
euphoria.
This euphoria.
I agree with you on that score. I agree with you. The principal contradiction in the world is between imperialism and the people. Imperialism and the independent nations, as you will see anywhere in the world. Imperialism is marching into any country which they find is necessary for their purposes of economic expansion, for the purposes of their own aggrandizement. So that is the principal contradiction. So you have to stand in line with the principal contradiction and then find alliances here. So in this division, you find the whole combination of these people have taken their positions, taken up their positions in line with the right-wing pro-Western forces, while we take up a position opposed to the imperialist forces. Now, the last question that you raised is important, that is that we have not done enough. I would go further than that and say we have done too many mistakes. We have made too many mistakes. Not failed to do enough, but also made too many mistakes in letting the armed forces to interview with the civil administration too much, which gave a kind of pressure on the people and their livelihoods. Even the fisher people who went to the sea had to go through all kinds of sanctions of the Navy. And the people who lived in the villages always had to tolerate the army going about in their villages and probing into all their lives and all their private lives. So these became a nuisance, and they tried to command the administrative structure due to the post-conflict situation. As you know, after a war, the armed forces who win the war prevail over the administration. That is what happened in the north. And this was encouraged by govt, which I had critically reported to the president time and again. If you want to win over, and also not only if you want to win over, we would not like the armed forces to conduct themselves in the way that they do now, even in our areas. We protest when they come in through the STF in order to appease some situation and become too much present in our villages. So we can imagine what it is for the people after a war feeling a sense of defeat. At the same time, the army walking triumphantly to their villages would make them feel very bad. Therefore, I say not only not done sufficiently, but that made mistakes in letting certain things go too far. The army commanders as the governors was a very bad mistake. We opposed all this, and we need to have done much more rather than omit certain mistakes. We ought to have done much more in order to go that extra mile in order to reach the Tamil people. That was not possible in a post-war situation. As you know, the post-war situation is where the army takes control unavoidably for some time until the situation settles down.
It's interesting that you say this, Mr. Anakar, because the main cry of those who are supporting Mahinda Rajapaksa, I'm saying not the leaders, if it's not the leaders, it's the masses, is that the laxing of this whole national security, they want it back. They want it back for the Tamil people. They want the high security zones imposed.
No.
They feel there's a national threat,
no.
Which is what they want. That whole
no.
feeling of security
that is not correct. There is a national security question, which is all important as much as our national independence questions. The third thing is that we want unaligned foreign policy. These three go together: unaligned foreign policy, friendship with countries like emerging China. Then on the other hand, we want a line of thinking where the Tamil people should not restart on what they had ended with the war, which is the imperialist movement, or the movement towards a separatist region. We cannot allow that to re-emerge. That is a concern we have. The UNP may try to let certain things not happen or happen in order to appease the TNA, and in order to come to terms with the TNA, they may want to let the question of our security become less important. But we will not let that happen. That is what we say. But we don't say that we should reimpose the kind of situation that prevailed prior to the last 3-4 months when the army was going about taking their properties in the way they wanted. We wanted all the properties returned. We had returned 6,000 acres before this government came. This government only formalized the return of the lands which we had effected. We were in the process. So it's a process and it takes time. And the third point is that national security is not something about which we can do politics. National security is all important, that the unitary state of the country must remain, and that the political stability must remain, that we cannot let emerge another movement which will be calling for separatism, which we can avoid only by winning over the Tamil people to equal status within a unitary state, and also by giving them provincial autonomy.
Yeah, as much as you're saying this, again, Mr. Nanekar, as much as it theoretically sounds potent, if you go to the road, if you talk to the supporters, if you actually get down at a rally and speak to your supporters, I'm sure they would tell you that they're supporting Mahinda Rajapaksa because Tambitikai, Demalutikai, I'm telling you this because on first hand, I'm telling you this, Mr. Nanekar, very responsibly I'm telling you this. Demalutikai, unge dane tiando.
Absolutely not. I think you have met the wrong people. I'm sure if you want to know the mindset of our people who are gathering by in Mahinda in large numbers, in thousands, tens of thousands, their mindset, you have to not go by the tree, you must take the wood. Their mindset is, we don't want the UNP government. Why? The UNP government has a very bad record from 77 onwards. They have promoted racial conflicts. They gave rise to the conditions of war. Then they let the war continue in a devastating way. So they want all this ended. They don't want the repression of a rebellion again. They don't want the causation of a rebellion again in the south by not addressing the potent causes in the social sector. These are the reasons put together, which is the mindset. In addition, the national security. But there are different people who will talk to you, emphasize different things, giving emphasis to different things. And the question is that the Tamil people and the Muslim people, as you will see our manifesto, as you will hear the words of Mr. Rajapaksa from any platform, single and Muslim Tamil unity is our aim. We want to treat everybody alike. We don't want discrimination. We want to win over Tamil people. That is our announced position. If we are racist, we will give vent to some of the racist thought even in a veiled manner. We will give expression to our racist thoughts, which you have not listened to. Now, Vimalveer Vansi is our speaker who goes into this question of Islamism, separatism, the war, etc., etc. Even he would not fail to say ultimately that we must remain in unity, because we know our last guarantee for our sovereignty is unity in the country. Therefore, we cannot afford to let unity fail, because that is the guarantee of sovereignty.
In recently, since you are saying this veiled man, I'm telling you it openly, they did this. During a recent meeting, Lanka Deepa journalist was held captive by security men of the former president. I'm assuming the meeting was in Naula, without preventing him taking flags of this new flag that they have tried to promote, the Sinhala flag, which was displayed around that meeting that President Mahinda Rajapaksa
somebody had some mindset which he wanted the old Canadian flag to be displayed in order to show the independence of the people in that region, Matale Kerala. So that kind of thing can happen. You will find some people with, who are in the lunatic fringe, some who are not exactly in line with our thinking. So therefore you will find disparate situations. That does not make a total sum of everything that is going on. If you want to look at the total sum of everything going on, look at all the speeches of Mahinda Rajapaksa, look at all the manifestos and documents we have put out, and look at our regime during which period. What racial conflict have we promoted? What racial discrimination have we inflicted? Racially or communally? Muslim Congress was a part of us. Tournament was a part of us.
Yeah, but you're talking again, Mr. Anekar, you being a leftist, you're talking again of these leaders, but the masses were suppressed.
The tournament is voted by that tens of thousands of people into parliament. Muslim Congress is voted by tens of thousands of people.
But if the Muslim Congress, take this for example, Mr. Anekar, if the Muslim Congress supported Mahinda Rajapaksa, you think the Muslim people would have voted for Mahinda Rajapaksa?
They couldn't have. No, the estrangement was such. Yeah. The Muslim Congress could not continue with Mahinda Rajapaksa. The estrangement was such.
Because
therefore, the Muslim people voted against us. But they are now coming back. Now that we have disowned Bodhabala Sena, they are coming back. We always had about 150,000 Muslim votes in this country, or more. And that vote went away from us, leaving behind only about 20,000 yet, because of certain incidents connected with Bodhabala Sena and the other racist Buddhist organizations, which appeared to have some protection from the government because of Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's particular connection with them. Now they have gone away, they have broken ranks for us.
To take you back, Mr. Anekar, in 2005 when you brought Mahinda Rajapaksa into power, I believe you also
I was
part of it, but yeah, you were, of course you were part of it, of course. In 2005, it was y'all, say it was cerebral forces. We had the JVP, we had y'all, and then Mahinda Rajapaksa suddenly seemed to alienate them. Suddenly we saw Sajin Vas Gunawardena come to him. Suddenly we saw people, the UMPers who actually were part of that imperialist agenda joining hands and being promoted.
Crossing over went
Yes,
on.
of course.
Crossing over went on.
And
that is more because of the war.
Yeah, I understand.
We had to fight the war, we
Right.
were fighting it to an end.
Yeah.
There were those who became impressed by that, and there were also those who, other
perks.
considerations came over. So they keep coming over.
Right, I understand.
And that
But my
was,
question is, Mr. Anakara, what guarantees do you have that the Dinesh Gunawardhanas, the Vimal Veeravanshas, the Vasudeva Nayakaras who support this comeback big would not be alienated in the event Mahinda Rajapaksa comes back again?
I give you no guarantee. If Mahinda Rajapaksa deviates from our vision, our manifesto and our program, then we have an internal fight against Mahinda Rajapaksa. If Mahinda deviates. But what you must remember is from 1930s onwards, we have had a stream of politics which principally championed national independence, social justice, pro-people reforms, democratization of the country. And that is the stream which is today injected by Mahinda Rajapaksa. Mahinda Rajapaksa is not the originator. One thing was Bandanaka, and later Mrs. Bandanaka, now it's Mahinda Rajapaksa. These are the leaders of this stream of politics which had come down from ages in their fight against imperialism for national independence, national pride, local production, and national economy. These are the slogans and the program around which we have gathered. The masses have kept on moving, but certain sections of the left or certain sections of social democracy have moved away from us and joined the UNP ranks. This happens from time to time. You cannot tell that because they were very concerned about the question of democratic rights and democracy. And democratic rights and democracy had a certain, what you call, disadvantage during the time of the war. And that's again the part of the war conditions. And that continues after the war, inevitably, as anything continues after the event for some time.
Right.
And these reasons drove away some sections of the left into the right, like Vikram Babu, if it goes on with the UNP. Now the principal contradiction is lost sight of. Now we have to bring back democracy. Democracy is deficient here with us, not go over to imperialism.
Mr. Anakar, you say that this inherent conflict between imperialism and the people, and which is what you're siding with and siding here. And you've spoken of the contradictions within the UMP, like the contradictions in the ideologies. But if you take your camp, we have Vimal Veeravansha who has steadfastly opposed 13th Amendment. We have you who has steadfastly proposed 13th Amendment. We have Mahinda Rajapaksa who's on one day says he's giving 13th Amendment and going 13 plus, and on the other day saying no, he's not going beyond what Gotabaya would promise.
Yes, we have.
Isn't that contradiction?
They are not principal contradictions. Principal contradictions are that which separates you from one another in a general manner, in a fundamental manner, in a total manner, and in a world scale. Other contradictions are local, domestic, and very often adjustable. So the principal contradiction is the contradiction between Prism and the masses. If you take the combinations in the UNP alliance, there are contradictions cut across this principal contradiction. That is where I point out and say they were fake anti-imperialists all the time. When they have gone over to the UNP, they have lost sight of principal contradiction. They have crossed the Rubicon and gone over. And therefore, there is a difference between that situation and our situation. We have Tamil people with us, with whom we are in discussion, and there are those like Anand Sangari, who are welcome among our ranks, who will give us advice. There is Chandra Hasan, the son of Chandranagam, who is in very good terms with our alliance, who keeps advising us on matters connected with the Tamil people. Still, I grant yet that the broad Tamil national movement is not with us. It's with the DNA. We have to win them over. And we have to win them over not by offering cakes, but by structurally changing the political setup in the north in order to give them self-rule, self-confidence, and also their self-pride. Promote those conditions. I think we can do that. All what we are opposed to is separatism. All that we are opposed to is the separatist attitudes and concepts, separatist philosophy. We are for equality among all people and all races. Now, if the Sinhalese people enjoy certain conditions of power, if they enjoy certain conditions of satisfaction as people in relation to the state, the same conditions must prevail for the Tamil people who live predominantly in certain areas. So, should the Muslims be? So, this question of bringing about greater cordial relations, reconciliation, and bringing about bonding between races and communities, that takes some time. We must first learn both languages, all of us. And that is the beginning of going in the direction of reconciliation and bonding.
And before I come to my final questions, Mr. Anakara, you have been a fighter, you've been a street fighter all along, you've been on the road, you have been for the causes, although the causes have might I say, switched from time to time, different causes have come up. Mr. Anakara, do you, as a person who has been in the body politic of this country, do you believe that this country is, don't you believe that this country is headed towards, or that we are experiencing some sort of strain between communities, between people?
No, that happened between 1977 and 1994, which is the UNP period. It has not happened since 1994 up to now, except in isolated pockets. We have one more people who are in the LTT cadres back into the mainstream of politics, like Karnama and KP and Pilla. That's no small achievement. So that is the way forward. They are the people who express the sentiments of the people from the time they were fighters on the ground. So as far as I am concerned, I feel dreaded to think of a return of the UNP, because that is to create conditions of rebellion, insurgency, repression. And also they are the people who are responsible for 1983 July riots. If you remember, their ministers were on the streets promoting the riots. That's the UNP. So therefore the UNP's return is a horror which we must not let our minds ever dream of.
And finally, Mr. Anakara, are you confident? We have a little over 2 weeks for the election. Are you confident that the people of this country would vote back Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa?
Overwhelmingly. Not Mahinda Rajapaksa. This Mahinda Rajapaksa individuality and his personal cult is no longer the important thing. Now it is going to be a Mahinda Rajapaksa, Maithripala Sirisena combination. He is the president, he is the prime minister, they were at govt. They fought one another as candidates to the presidential election. Now they, being both of the same party and our forces being brought together, it is no longer Mahinda Rajapaksa cult. It is the Sandhaniya cult, which is a combination of all forces, and we will overwhelmingly do well, because Maithripala Sirisena on the one hand, on the other hand the breakaway groups, on the other hand the other breakaway groups that came back. Still on the other hand, Mahinda Rajapaksa has regained new popularity. Then there is regret about having voted the UNP into a government for which they never voted, but he came in surreptitiously through the presidential powers and then has done up to now all what the people resent, and they all recognize Ranil Wickremesinghe's actual character, how he dominates and tramples over rights of all people, including the rights of his own party members in any internal conflict.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anakara. It was a pleasure. Thank you.